Cipollone said something to the effect of, please make sure we don't go up to the Capitol, Cassidy. Keep in touch with me. We're going to get charged with every crime imaginable if we make that movement happen.
And on top of that, her revelation that Trump knew his supporters were armed.
He was angry that we weren't letting people through the mags with weapons, what the Secret Service deems as weapons and our weapons. I overheard the president say something to the effect of, I don't effing care that they have weapons. They're not here to hurt me. Take the effing mags away.
Good evening, I'm Dr. Ryan Ava from Los Angeles, California. Following star witness Cassidy Hutchinson's bombshell testimony in last week's surprise hearing of the January 6 probe, potential witness tampering has been added to Trump's rather long crime list. According to NBC News, at least one exhibit Liz Cheney read out loud, detailing a concerning message in which a Trump ally seemed to be coaxing the witness in testifying positively on Trump's behalf, was received by no one else other than Cassidy Hutchinson. NBC News has also confirmed the person referred to in that message was Trump's former chief of staff, Mark Meadows. Despite the 2024 election being more than 2 years away, Donald Trump does not want to wait. CNN reports that Trump wants to launch his formal campaign this month, ditching plans to wait until after the midterms. Perhaps he knows if he announces, he will be on the center stage again. Trump's discussions about running again comes as bombshell testimony before the January 6 committee is shedding new light on his involvement in the Capitol insurrection. Testimonies such as the one from former White House aide Cassidy Hutchinson and her revelation that Trump knew that his supporters were armed. You would think that January 6 revelations would be something that would make him take a step back. But Trump lives in his own fantasy world. He keeps pushing back even if his nose is pressing against the wall, much like a wind-up doll. Trump is forcing Republicans to have this conversation now, to have the conversation about 2024 right now. Frankly, they just want some space. The chairman of the Republican National Committee, Ronna McDaniel, wants Trump to wait until after the midterms. Kevin McCarthy wants Trump to wait after the midterms. And Mitch McConnell wants Trump to wait after the midterms. Trump doesn't care what anybody thinks, of course, and why would he? He will announce his run for the presidency before the midterms, and also wants to take credit for whatever happens in the midterms with Republicans. Trump wants the conversation to be about him, and he is going to force people to choose. He's going to call the big donors and put them in this situation of having to choose between him and other likely candidates. But one thing is for certain, Trump will face challenges if and when he decides to run.
Pat Cipollone will go under oath. His lawyer indicated a transcribed interview, but his testimony will be on camera this Friday. Cipollone knows that all in this news is huge for the probe. He was witness to talks on seizing voting machines, sending fake electors to Congress, and was in the West Wing on January 6th. He has spoken to the committee before in an informal setting, but this testimony is under oath, stemming from a subpoena, coming just after the bombshell testimony on Trump's violent...
DeSantis is appealing to some of these big money donors that Trump wants to keep, and he has noticeably been quiet when it comes to defending Trump and getting behind him in the ways that we have seen other governors and people who might potentially run for president someday are falling all over themselves to praise the former disgraced president. And in the meantime, Ron DeSantis is keeping his distance while raking in the donors. Ron DeSantis is not staying at home and staying quiet. He's laying the groundwork as he has been the beneficiary of all the negative news about Trump in the January 6 hearings and elsewhere every time a Trump-endorsed person fails. Speaking about the fallout from January 6th, the New York Times reported one trusted current advisor calling the testimony as, quote, killer. CNN reported another unnamed person stating the testimony will lead to indictments, while another Republican lawmaker said anonymously, and I quote, enough to make me throw my lunch against the wall, end of quote. Every one of these Republicans seem to agree that Trump is completely unhinged and out of control. But except for a very limited number of people, nobody wants to say it out loud and on the record. Now, some might take this as an opening for Trump, as they are all anonymous and not willing to put their names behind any criticism of Trump, indicating his power over the party.
Well, the big takeaway from that right there is that they're all anonymous, that they are not willing to put their name behind any criticism of Trump, which still shows his power that he has over the party.
However, I believe it is because of their cowardliness and lack of originality when it comes to new ideas and policies to better the country and to make the voters want to vote for them. Trump knows very well that his days of being a free man are numbered. He's worried about facing criminal charges, but being the narcissist that he is, he's counting on the runs to complicate the legal matters and perhaps provide him with a shot at power again. Now, Fulton County in Georgia is potentially pursuing charges against Trump and his allies. And it's not just Fulton County, the Justice Department is also conducting their own investigation with all the evidence coming out of, in light of the January 6th committee. Although technically he can run from jail, but if or when, in my opinion, he is convicted of insurrection and violating the Constitution and the 14th Amendment, then he would actually be disqualified. Now, at least Cheney also dropped a bit of a bombshell at the end of this past week's hearing, warning Trump and people around him, like the former Chief of Staff Mark Meadows, to not tamper with her witness or with her witnesses. Now, witness tampering is a serious crime, and it seems that Trump and people around him are worried enough that they are willing to tamper with the witnesses to get them to not testify. Now, I think it lays out the possibility of charges against Trump or his associates. In addition to witness tampering, the committee has been laying out the evidence of him potentially obstructing an official proceeding. According to CNN, they have counted at least 4 federal crimes that he could have possibly, violated. Michael Cohen, Trump's long-time lawyer, said to Washington Post last week that these are all tactics used by mob bosses, and he should know those things because he worked for Trump for a long time. Congresswoman Cheney and a lot of other members of the committee are trying to present this into the Justice Department as an illegal tactic. And this is evident by their language reiterating over and over again in the hearings the illegality of what has happened. And she's framed it very starkly this week as trying to tell voters we either have to pick the Constitution or you pick Trump. And she has even made her re-election bid about that.
We need to recognize that if we are not faithful to the Constitution, if we embrace lies, if we embrace the lies of Donald Trump, if we tell the people of Wyoming something that is not true, we will soon find ourselves without the structure and the basis and the framework of our constitutional republic.
In the meantime, let's not forget about the Democrats' lack of courage to take this fight head-on. Except for one person, and that is Gavin Newsom, the California's governor. In my opinion, he is a strong and potential candidate for the 2024 presidential run from from Democrats' side.
Well, new video tonight. We are getting our first look at an ad Governor Gavin Newsom is running in Florida.
It's Independence Day, so let's talk about what's going on in America. Freedom, it's under attack in your state. Your Republican leaders, they're banning books, making it harder to vote, restricting speech in classrooms, even criminalizing women and doctors.
The ad goes on to encourage Florida residents to, quote, join the fight for freedom or move to California. While the ad is paid for by Newsom's 2022 re-election campaign, it's fueling speculation that Newsom is gearing up for a presidential run. So far, Newsom has said that he has no interest in running for president.
To see more videos like this and to support my work, click the subscribe button here on the screen. You may also follow me on Medium, where I write about the most important topics daily, or check out my podcast, Dr. Ryan Alva Show, on Apple or Spotify or wherever you listen to your podcast.